Mulan, more like this sucked ass.
Okay. Not great, but I'll go with it.
Dude, I'm giving it the credit it deserves. I'm not even trying here. I'm just, oh God.
Yeah. Oh. Yep. So it's that time again. The time for their goddamn Disney remake that I guess Disney just gave up on. Man.
Yeah, I don't know what the issue is or why this is happening, but um, where do we start? How do we even approach this? I mean, the general plot of the movie is the same. We don't really have to recap that, right? Like, if you've seen
Like I
Mulan, you
would.
have a general idea. Just imagine Mulan, except without all of the fun characters, with all of the fun characters removed.
Okay, I think really the best way to really I think to start off with this is I've seen enough of these goddamn remakes, and they kind of tend to go in one or two directions. Either it's a shot-for-shot remake where almost everything's identical except somehow missing all the soul of it, or
That was
they
Lion
try.
King.
What's that?
Lion King.
Yeah, like Lion King, or even like Aladdin to a lesser extent, or
No.
What's another one off the top of my head? Beauty and the
Doesn't
Beast.
matter.
Um,
Doesn't
or
matter.
they do the other direction where they make it try to make it so wildly different that it's completely disconnected from the original, while also still missing the heart and soul of the original film.
Yeah, at least
Like,
Dumbo tried something different.
yeah.
Dumbo is like not absolute shit.
It's like
It was not good.
Dumbo or Cinderella or even Jungle Book, kind of.
I heard Jungle Book was good. I didn't see that. I didn't see Cinderella either. Whatever.
Fucking hate it.
Okay, what do we?
Okay, I think just general synopsis. We're assuming you've already seen the original Mulan. I'm not going to bother recapping things. You know the basic plot. I think
Yeah.
we just kind of jump right into the major differences of why this one is it's again like
I've got one. How's this for a big difference? Mulan, it has superpowers because of her chi, and that's why she's better than everybody, and that's why she does so well. It's not because she's well trained and skilled and like smart and outsmarts the other guys in the squad in the army and like earns their respect that way. Like, she's just got magical matrix powers. Like, literally, there's a point in the movie where someone shoots a couple of arrows at her and she just like slow motion matrixes out of it. I'm not exaggerating.
like, and I
There's moves she does during training that are like crazy slow motion matrixy things, and like and I mean, she straight up almost kills that guy. If he hadn't moved, he would have died. So anything that has to do with her earning her place is more her learning to embrace the power within her that she's been told to ignore all her life because she's a woman, rather than, she trains and she's smart and she's dedicated in a way that the guys don't understand.
And that's the big problem with the movie. Sorry, I didn't cut you off there, but I just bouncing off of that is just the point of in the original movie, and I feel like we have the same discussion every time one of these goddamn things comes out. We got the issue where you have to compare it to the original. It's like, oh, this one had like personality and expressiveness, but the main thing it really misses is the fact that it misses character. Because from the beginning, like, this is kind of like the definition of I hesitate to use the word Mary Sue, but like from the get-go, they already established that she already has all the cool kung fu skills. She doesn't have anywhere to go upwards except to just learn how to use her chi. In the original ones, like, she's clumsy, she's awkward.
That's the thing, though. It's not martial arts or anything. She's just magically
that's
attuned to this stuff. Like, it's just superpowers. She's just magically adept.
She doesn't have to learn anything. She doesn't have to go through any real trial. She just has to learn to use her chi, and that gets her through the entire rest of the movie.
Yeah, the point where it got super ridiculous for both of us was where there's one training exercise that the army has where the soldiers have to carry the buckets of water up the mountain, And when they carry the buckets, they have to carry them like out like this, and it's really tiring. No one's able to make it to the top without stopping for rest. But there's a point in the movie where she just embraces her chi, and that's what gives her the strength to carry buckets up a mountain.
Apparently,
That's not how chi works. That's not what it is. Like, it's okay. I do also want to mention like the fact that Howard was with us for like the first half hour or 40 minutes of the movie.
Yeah.
Like, he joined in and watched and then straight up left. Howard, as a Chinese American, straight up fucking left. Like,
couldn't take it anymore.
Was so offended and grossed out by the movie. He's like, yeah, I think that's all I can do. And just left to hang out with his dog. And I do not blame him, because he didn't have an obligation to sit through this whole thing to just, review it at the end. I technically didn't, but I made it all the way through Aladdin, and it infuriated me. Aladdin is one of the most gross and offensive fucking things I've ever seen, and it upset me deeply, especially considering how much I loved the original Aladdin. And I had a feeling that this would be the same for Chinese people, and the one I've heard from so far, it proves that. It's bad. It's really bad. It's offensively bad.
Yeah.
The choices they make don't make sense. The scenes they add don't make sense.
No heart.
The matchmaker in this is not even comedically mean. She's just mean and like gross. And there's very little chemistry between the characters. There are a couple of minor scenes where they establish character connections, but they're not good. They're so threadbare and basic, and
the things they add are just hollow and lifeless.
I would have liked another half hour to flesh out those characters. I would have liked this movie to be longer if they'd added scenes that mattered and made me care about what was going on. Like, you don't even know the names of most of these people because they just come. Even the main people that she talks to in the army, you don't know who they are. You don't know their names.
And that goes the problem. A big problem with this versus the original movie is, like, this movie doesn't really seem particularly interested in having any real characters. It's more interesting.
It's about Mulan.
It's about Mulan, but even then, it's not really about her. It's about the flashy shit she can do. Because, like, Mulan as a character in this movie isn't much of anything. She is an empty shell. She just wanders from scene to scene reacting to stuff, but even then, not really. Again, in the original one, Mulan was constantly working. She was fighting, like, not just, like, to be better, but to keep her disguise going, to keep up this facade. She was, like, surviving by the skin of her teeth in every fucking scene she was in until she has a self-actualizing moment towards the end. She only got by because she was just smarter than everybody else. And that was kind of the whole point.
But now, no, she just has chi.
Now she just has chi. She's like, the character is immediately robbed of all her agency because it's some magical voodoo crap.
It's literally like a superhero journey where the hero has to learn to, harness and control this superpower that they have. It's not about actual character development. It's about having the courage to be yourself, which within the scope of, a misogynist society and being a woman and needing to stand up against patriarchal systems. I understand that, but this movie was about more than that. This movie was about, like, the original was about so much more than that. Yeah. And I understand why you would have to remove the cartoon dragon and the smartass horse and the cricket. Like, you'd have to remove these characters because, you're trying to be realistic or whatever, and there's some weird shit that's gone on with the Chinese government regarding crickets, I guess. But
it's like what you replace it with, when you actually try to sub in with it, is so importantly awful that you can't really justify it, or like it lacks any substance. It doesn't add anything new. It's not interesting to watch. Like, they replace, like, the perfect example, the one you and I kept laughing at this entire fucking movie, is they replaced the dragon with the phoenix in this movie, but the phoenix doesn't do jack shit.
They don't even replace it. No. They don't replace the dragon with the phoenix. They just put a phoenix in there. There's no way to say that, like. What, ancestors? Are we talking about ancestors? Is that the only connection that Mushu has to the Phoenix? Like, that's the only thing that connects them. Otherwise,
it's also
Mushu
that the father prays to protect her daughter, even though it's, again, doesn't really.
Sure, okay, ancestors watch over my child. Cool. And then a Phoenix shows up, not in any way that affects the movie. The Phoenix doesn't do anything. the Phoenix shows up every now and then, like 4 times.
The Phoenix. You know,
yeah, to as the music swells and it has big panning shots over the landscapes, and Mulan doesn't she sees it, okay, but generally it doesn't show up when she needs to be encouraged. It doesn't encourage her. It shows up when she's already feeling motivated.
Yeah.
Like I don't know what that's supposed to mean. It doesn't mean fucking anything.
I mean, the Phoenix basically shows up like she just had a self-actualizing moment and then flies away.
and then yeah, and that versus 3 random little animal characters that she got to confide in and not feel so alone because they knew what she really was, and they were there to encourage her and have conversations with her, and like that carried a lot of the original movie. And I understand having to remove that, but
if you're gonna do that, you have to add something with substance. You know, you got like, yeah.
But it's okay. So I could have been okay with them removing that without adding anything in its place.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Fair enough.
If they hadn't removed all of the fucking personality and interactions and friendships from the side with the army.
Yes.
Like even the real people that she interacts with, there's no fucking chemistry. There's a couple of scenes where she has actual conversations with them. Like a couple.
Yeah, like the one scene that we had to pause because you had to go back through it.
Oh no, I'll talk about that. Give me that one. But
I'm leading you into it. I'm leading you in. Because there's one scene where they were like having lunch together and they start talking about women and I'll let you go from here. Go for it.
So I remember in the original there was a scene where the guys are talking about like, what would you want in a woman? And like they turn that into an actual conversation that's happening around a lunch table. But it's way less dynamic. Like it doesn't flow as well. It doesn't like it they're just like saying things.
Yep.
That's the best way I can put it. They're just saying things and they don't feel natural, and it feels like the way that they're ribbing each other, that doesn't feel natural. And it's this whole thing where like as they're doing this, whoever was in charge of editing this scene should have been shot, because this person they literally, I counted this. I went back and counted it. So they're having a conversation during this lunch, and the way that the editing happens is that it seems like the editor is trying to cut to everyone the moment they speak, as well as cutting to the people reacting to their speaking. Except they're speaking at such a fast pace sometimes that there's literally times when there are like 3 cuts in 1 second. And I went back and I counted. And keep in mind that in the middle of this scene, I'm including a shot at the beginning where Mulan is walking up for like 5 or 6 seconds, and a point in the middle where she says something about what she would want to see in a woman, and that is another 5 or 6 seconds. So let's cut this down. It's 1 minute and 15 seconds. Let's just take the 15 off of it. Let's do a straight minute. And let's say those 2 shots, those are 2 edits, there were 48 cuts. So let's say that in 1 minute, there were 46 cuts. It was almost headache-inducing. It was so bad. And it just spoke to the level of incompetence that this movie was made with. And you see this... Well, you see this throughout the movie. There are points in the battle scenes where like the camera will flip as the character flips, and it's weirdly disorienting and unnecessary, and it just doesn't work. And
substance. Yeah.
There's a lot of stuff in the movie that is ripped straight. It's like a poor man's Game of Thrones. There are points in the movie where like there are sieges upon like fortresses. There are, armies advancing on horseback. There are actual battle sequences. There are, and at the very end, there's one particular shot, which if you stuck around till the end of Game of Thrones, you'll recognize, because like, man, it's so blatantly unoriginal. It's so incredibly fucking painfully unoriginal and bad and clearly a ripoff that it's bad. It's real bad. It's just bad. And all of them are just like, the reason that those parts of Game of Thrones were actually good was because they had an incredibly talented director that knew how to capture intense battle sequences and really convey the feeling of intensity and claustrophobia. This is just them going like, all right, we got the shot of them doing this. All right, we got the shot of them doing this. All right, we got this. Now let's just put it together. And we have a battle scene. Look. And it's the most...
generic bullshit.
Boring.
Yeah.
It's so boring.
I like you and I kept making fun of this movie horrendously for the entire time we were watching. It's the only thing we can do to get by.
The points where we had the strength to. There were other points where we were both sitting there like... And then I swear, for the last 10 minutes or so of the movie, we were both pretty much on our phones.
Yeah, pretty much.
Looking up stuff having to do with the movie, like trying to figure out why it's this bad.
Like right off the bat, like the part I have to talk about, because it introduces one of the more batshit elements of this movie, is we have to talk about the Falcon.
Oh, you mean the Witch Queen Falcon?
The Witch Queen, yeah. I'm calling her the Falcon,
sure.
Though, they for some reason they decide to go.
They added another strong female character.
Well, it's not just that. They did the same exact thing that... goddamn, what's the name of that Harry Potter spinoff?
I don't know. Fantastic Beasts?
Fantastical Beasts 2, where they decided to make the snake from the original movies and books into a woman for some reason that could transform back and forth into a snake.
Okay.
And this one, they took the Falcon that was in the original Mulan, and they decided to make her a witch lady.
I forgot that he had a falcon.
Yes, that's what I was trying to say earlier. That's exactly what it was trying to fucking be.
Oh my god.
Right?
Oh wow.
So in this one, the Falcon is a woman. It's a witch woman. And they make... To be fair, she's probably the most fascinating thing about this movie.
She's one of the better characters in the movie.
Yeah, like, to give credit where credit is due. But that being said, the way they introduce her is like, wait, what? And where they just introduce her, like it cuts to like middle of China to just like the desert.
Some dude in the desert.
Where like 3 people watched this scene, and all 3 people at different times made the same Aladdin joke.
Where they were like, oh, I guess we're getting the Aladdin crossover.
Yep. And just this witch woman just suddenly appears to this like Arabic guy. Then he like blinks and she's closer, and then you just see his shadow, and he just morphs into the shadow, and we're like, did she just go inside of him?
Yeah, she Norded him.
The answer is yes.
Yeah, and then later there's this great shot where like a battle's about to start, and she's like, that's my cue. I've been hiding as this spice trader, and now I'm gonna do it. And then these gigantic baskets of spices. I'm talking about like what would in modern times be thousands of dollars of spices probably. And back then, absurd. But like when you had to have the Silk Road to transport those spices, yeah, incredibly expensive. So she just takes this blanket that the spices are sitting on and goes whoosh with it in slow motion, and the camera's like in front facing her and facing him, and then the spices go down, and like the cloud of spices like settles, and behind it is the Falcon Witch lady. And I'm just thinking,
There's nobody behind her?
Why? Yeah. What did that look like from any other angle? Like, why did she do that as though she knew that the camera was in front of her? And like, if she was trying to get cover, there was no other direction that people wouldn't be able to see her from except for the front. It doesn't make sense. And then later,
this is the first inkling. Before you get into that, this is like the first inkling, by the way, that we realize people in Mulan have superpowers in this version. So it's so incredibly jarring if you know the original movie, just only to see someone morph into somebody else. And you're just like, wait, what the fuck?
Oh yeah, and then she has magical knife summoning powers and owl claws, and later you discover the powers
of the cape, where she like whips fabric around people.
Oh yeah, no, she can take her fabric sleeves and like wrap them around people from a distance, like go. And it stretches like 40 feet and wraps around a guy and slams him to the ground. And I'm like, why would you use anything else if you have this ability?
In a different movie, this probably would have been really cool, but it's in this movie.
And it looks decent, but it's just so out of place. And then immediately afterwards, she morphs into another guy. Like she goes into another guy and possesses him to go like talk to the Emperor directly. And all of us were wondering, like, what happened to the Arabic dude? Like,
I guess he just dead
does
now.
he get left behind? Is he now just absorbed into her? Like, is he dead? What happened to him? Like,
Well,
he was just forgotten completely.
What are they called? The Huns in this movie? What's the new name for
Rorans.
them? Warrens?
Rorans.
Okay. I guess in this version can also like run up walls and shit.
Yes, there is wall running in this. There is one part in the movie, I shit you not, where Mulan, they might have been playing fucking Spy Break from The Matrix, because like she runs, there's like a hallway of enemies, and she runs up the wall and then goes on her knees and does like a power slide down the wall, and then goes back on, jumps onto the other side of the wall and runs along that side, and then jumps over a dude's head and lands on the other side and starts fighting him. It is
so stupid.
And it sounds like it could be cool, but it looks terrible. It looks terrible. Oh God.
And then she pops, like, again, to give her credit, you and I were making the jokes like, I'm willing to bet $20. There's an original draft of this where her, like, the Witch Lady and Mulan are totally hooking up because they have more sexual tension than anyone else in this movie.
Witch Lady has some strong Dom vibes, and there is absolutely every reason for these two strong, powerful women to just reject the society that's exiled them for being, anything but docile as a woman, and just run off and just be like lesbian conquerors. Just fucking...
I would watch the fuck out of that movie.
I would watch the fuck out of a movie that is Mulan and Falcon Lady conquering China with their supernatural chi powers. Like, just, oh my God, that would have been so much better. It would have been so much more entertaining. But like,
what a twist for all the children.
Yeah, how's that for some fucking representation? Let's do that instead. Instead of this weird thing where the main actress supports the fucking dictatorship in China and speaks out against the fucking demonstrators that are trying to protest for democracy. And like, let's have that. Let's have some actual fucking... God, this was... the fact that it was so offensive to Howard that he walked out after like half an hour, I get, like, it kind of blows my mind, but at the same time, it blows my mind in the sense that they did that with the movie, as opposed to like, I get it, man. I get why he did it. This movie's trash. It's trash. Anyone who loves this movie is just looking for the spectacle. It's the same reason that anyone loves any of these fucking movies. Anyone who thinks that, like...
Or the nostalgia goggles hit really hard.
It's the nostalgia goggles, but it's also people who've been buying into, like, the basic bitch Marvel shit. Like, the Marvel movies that are... Shut up. The Marvel movies that are nothing but spectacle, that just expect you to connect with character beats because they exist regardless of character development. Like, you're supposed to care about this person because they exist and they have a mother. Like, that's the only thing that you're like, that's supposed to hit you hard, instead of actually investing in real character development and story. Because, ooh, big fights and emotional music, like the actual movie making beats are trash. This is like that, but so much worse. And this is the standard that Disney has been lowering things to for years. And I fucking hate it. I cannot stand it. Yes, Michael?
I don't know where to go with that. But moving on.
It's trash.
Yeah, it sucks. It's a terrible movie. I don't necessarily agree with that critique, but fair enough. Furiously typing.
Also, let's talk about the music for a second.
All right.
They cut out all the music, of course.
Of course.
But then you have the thing where they incorporate Reflection. I didn't notice any other songs from the original soundtrack being incorporated. I noticed that Reflection was incorporated into the score at a couple of moments, and it feels forced.
Yep.
And it feels really, really just like, it doesn't feel like a tribute. It feels like a cash-in. It feels like a nostalgia button that they're trying to hit.
Yep, that's exactly what it is.
Especially because there's one point where she finally like embraces who she is, and she tears off her armor and she takes down her hair, even though she's about to head into battle, which is a fucking stupid idea. And she goes into a battlefield, and as she's literally slaughtering people, just this orchestral version of Reflection is playing in the background, and it's like, okay, so she's not hiding who she is anymore, but this is a brutal action war sequence. Like, this is inappropriate. This doesn't fit.
It's
this
kind
doesn't
of
make
like
sense.
if you put down like Dwayne Johnson's Hercules movie, and like during one of the big action beats, you start playing an orchestral version of "I Will Find My Way" in the background, or "I Will Go the Distance." But oh God, I don't know what else I have to say about this piece of shit. Like, oh, I guess we should talk about the Emperor.
Oh, right. We can't let that go.
No, we cannot. The Emperor shows up quite a bit in this movie, but you and I both noticed. He
shows up a couple of times. No, what bugs me about this, it's Jet Li, first of all, which is weird. But there's something wrong with his mouth.
Yeah.
There's something wrong. And I noticed it during the first scene that he's in, and they're in the palace, and it's going towards him. I had a theory that maybe they recorded it in Chinese so that they could actually put a Chinese version to the Chinese market, and then just like CG'd his mouth because it looked that bad. But yeah. I mean, that doesn't make sense. But that's how bad it looks. It looks like bad ADR. And what's baffling is that throughout the rest of the movie, all of the rest of his lines look this bad. Like, maybe when they were recording the scenes, they weren't able to, like, maybe his mic fucked up and all he did was like 2 days of shooting and he just had a bad mic the whole time and their sound guy sucked. And it feels like his words are not in sync with his lips. And it feels like when his lips move, they don't fully form the words. Mm-hmm. Like, there's seriously a couple of points in that first scene where his mouth looks CG. And you saw it. You saw exactly what I was talking about.
Yep.
If you for some reason watch this movie, which I would really recommend that you don't pay for it, and that's all I'm going to legally say, but like, if someone else has it per se, and made the misfortune of purchasing this movie and you have the chance to just watch it at their house instead, you're not supposed to share accounts, but if you live in the same house or whatever. Anyway, if you can just access this movie somehow without giving it money, because it doesn't deserve any of it, watch it and see if you disagree. I really want to know if you disagree. Like, comment about it. Come back. Let us know in the comments. What'd you think of the Emperor's mouth? How did you feel about?
What do you think of the Emperor's mouth?
Yeah, just no context, especially for people coming into the comments like not having watched this. Just come into the comments and be like, "Yeah, the Emperor's mouth was super weird. The Emperor's mouth like didn't sync up at all. Like some shit. Just to say some weird shit about the Emperor's mouth, and we'll know what you're talking about. And everyone else,
Emperor's mouth.
everyone else can have a weird time trying to figure out what the fuck you're talking about. But
am I just walking into?
This movie is technologically inept. It's inept on every front.
Yeah.
It's just bland and boring.
It goes back every time I say it, every one of these goddamn things. Watch the original.
There's no fun.
Yeah.
There's no fun in it. It's not an enjoyable movie. There's no heart. There's no fun.
It is lifeless.
The music is bland. The battle scenes are bland. The characters are bland. The writing is bland.
Yeah.
The scenes feel like they're just checking off boxes instead of actually progressing anything. The tone is weirdly inconsistent. The movie doesn't have a consistent tone throughout the whole movie. It doesn't feel like a movie. It feels like scenes stitched together. Like,
pretty much, yeah. That's what I was going to bring that up to. Like, the narrative is a clunky mess. There's no cohesive narrative. There's all kinds of elements that are brought up and dropped almost immediately. There's no connection with anyone or anything. Nobody looks like they want to be there.
Yeah.
It's like, this is if you made an AI like watch like a bunch of Jet Li movies and then Mulan and have them stitch together a script, this is what they would come up with.
Had an AI watch Hero.
Yeah.
But I will say, I will give it this: it wasn't as aggressively annoying as Aladdin was.
No, like, other remakes have made me more angry than this one, but this one's still pretty bad.
But this is just like, you had such an opportunity, man.
Like,
it's
if I had
such an opportunity for Asian representation, for female representation. Like, there was so much opportunity in this movie, and they ruined all of it. So,
like, if I had to like rank this among all the fucking remakes. I try to figure out where I'd put this. Like,
I want to think about that for a while first, because
Yeah.
it's definitely above Aladdin and the Lion King, but
Beauty and the
not
Beast is
saying
still the
much.
worst one for me.
I still haven't watched it. I don't think I will.
That's for the best. But
anyway, is that it? I
think it's all I got.
All right, y'all.
So, on the bright side, we got a bunch of other good movies we can go watch.
We'll figure that out. That's fine.
All right.
We can do Peninsula at the drive-in.
We got Peninsula. Well, it's like there's also like Yes, God, Yes. We still have to watch The King of Staten Island. Feels Good, Man. I'm thinking of Ending Things.
Yeah, I got dibs on that.
Robin's Wish.
Yeah, we'll figure it out.
And The Life of Ivan, which is the other Disney Plus movie.
All right. Well, like and subscribe.
Oh, big note before I let you guys go. We did just finish the newest editorial, literally as we were recording this. So it is going to be on Patreon first for a week before we release it publicly. So if you want to get early access, so make sure to go to our Patreon and do like $3, I'll make it. And then but we're going to do a 4-minute preview on YouTube tonight. So check that out. Please support us. And we're going to go like rest our brains for a while. All right. Take care, guys. Bye.